everyone. I am Heaven on Earth, and I just woke up. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I got up immediately because I was ready to talk about the Cowboy Carter Tour. Okay, I stayed up all night watching multiple live streams. Mostly one. I'll actually share his name in a bit. Actually, I'll put it on the screen. The name of the gentleman whose live stream I watch, who I'm just very grateful for. Because, whenever Beyonce goes on tour, it's sort of like a festival, a fair for all of the people who appreciate her to sort of enjoy her for this extended period of time and talk about her for this extended period of time and appreciate and have fun and celebrate life. Um, and so I'm really grateful for that. The person who went, I'll put their name on the screen. First, there's a couple of things I want to say. One, everyone is on payroll for Beyonce. I want to talk about just the discourse leading up to the tour, right? To the show. Beyonce, as we all know, doesn't say very much publicly, through the media. She doesn't really do interviews. She does a couple of Q&As for some magazines, and yet she's been on everybody's lips. She released a country album, and everybody had all these things to say, all these people in the news, all these people from Nashville, and all they're doing really is giving her promotion. Not just giving her promotion, but they're building up this, mythology for the concert for free, just to retaliate against her. And even all of the negative press, there's clearly a smear campaign going on against Beyonce on the internet, on Twitter and Instagram and everything. It's very clear. It's so obvious. But really all it does, because she doesn't respond, she doesn't say anything, she doesn't make that many appearances. Although during this and Renaissance, I feel like she's made so many more appearances than I thought that she would. But the point is, it makes everybody really excited to hear from her. So it just helps sell the tickets to her show. Because once the show started, you were like, there she is. There's a woman of the hour, the woman that on everyone's lips, the woman that everyone's talking about. And it's Cowboy Carter. There's all this high, excitement. Like, what's she gonna do? Because they're talking about her. They're trying to bring her down. They're trying to do. Anyway, when it started, and it had the American flag up there on the screen, as opposed to the Pride flag, which again, two flags: Renaissance Pride flag, Cowboy Carter American flag. Interesting. It was, perfect. Given what's happening, I don't even have to go into everything that's happening in this country, because we know what's going on. So it's a perfect time to have some kind of discourse on the country, and of course on the country's history. And so that was just beautiful. And then the fact that the stage was also, the stage itself was a screen. That shocked me. I did not see that coming. The stage, the actual stage, which is in the shape of a star, beautiful, is a screen, which added a whole nother dimension, and I really appreciated that. And I also kind of understand maybe why she's doing the residencies. I think this is probably easier for her. This show is so complicated that to move it every other day sounds like a lot. So it's nice that she's giving herself 4 nights, 5 nights, however many nights in the city to stay still. Anyway, when American Requiem started and Beyonce came up in all white, there's a lot of talking going on. It was like, oh. You know why? Because there is a lot of talking going on. Everybody's talking about her. Everybody's talking about her husband. You know what I mean? And then there's the woman coming through the stage. And she looked gorgeous, of course. But the real thing about this show, for me, was the energy was up the entire time. I mean, American Requiem was exactly what we wanted to hear. We knew what Cowboy Carter is about. We know why she made the album in the first place, which also, she thanked us. I want to say after American Requiem, or at some point in the beginning of the show, she thanked us for giving her the creative liberty to take a chance and for supporting it. And the truth is, we were going to do that no matter what. But it did feel nice to acknowledge that, not that she has to do anything for us, but that she's going outside of her normal, of what we expect from her, maybe, like to a very big degree. Um, and thanking us for joining her on the ride, which I thought was really sweet, just because, so many of us have been here for so long, and, our support does a lot. And I really felt like that was vulnerable of her. She looked great when she came up in the white chaps and the white hat. I believe the outfit was leather, at least the chaps were leather, I believe. She looked fantastic. She sounded incredible. I mean, she sounded amazing. There's no, she always does though. She did Blackbird in that opening segment, that first outfit, the first look. This is how I should divide it up into looks. Amazing. Everything amazing. She did the Star Spangled Banner. Or was it the Star Spangled Banner? Yeah, she did the Star Spangled Banner, right? It was the Star Spangled Banner? Yes, she did. Which was very fitting. And her performance of it felt, first of all, it's incredible for an artist to do the Star Spangled Banner in the middle of their show. Well, not the middle, it was the beginning. But still, it's just like, it's just a song on the set list. Just because it's usually like such a focus, But I really liked her rendition of it. It sounded a little, not risque, it was alternative. It was interesting. It was great. She went into Freedom. The crowd lost it. This is another thing. I feel like this show, I don't know, maybe this is just me, you tell me. Maybe someone who was there could probably tell you better. I feel like it's getting so much more reaction, like audience reaction, like screaming, surprises, I feel like there were way more surprises in the show than in Renaissance. Renaissance was phenomenal, we all know. Renaissance was incredible. But this one feels like, like shock after shock after shock, like, you know what I mean? And whatever. So yeah, and when Yaya started, I think we all felt safe. In the sense that, like, we got to see a little bit of Yaya during Beyonce Ball. And so it's like, oh, we kind of know this one a little bit. We know it, and she did the thing, and everything. Anyway, she did phenomenal. There are a couple of things that really stand out. One, she lit the piano on fire with a cigarette. First of all, Beyonce with a cigarette is a whole vibe. Like, I love that. Just love seeing Beyonce with a cigarette. But then she lit the piano on fire. When she sat down at the piano to sing, I was like, is she sitting at the piano? Like, I've never seen her just do that. So it just felt so, like, I don't know what the word, free of her. I've seen her sit on top of the piano. Do you know what I mean? But not just, like, sit on the bench next to the player, the pianist. Anyway. And yeah, when she lit that piano on fire, I was like, whoa, that's incredible. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of this based off of memory. And this was only a couple of hours ago, right? I feel like the show ended like 4 hours ago or something like that. So, yeah. But that was an incredible part for me. And when she went to go make her first change, I'm thinking of this like, a regular Beyonce concert. It's going to take a minute. I feel like her change was like this, right? She had the visuals come up. She had the clips from the news pop up talking about her. I feel like she's saying much more in Cowboy Carter Tour than any other tour. Like, I don't want to say politically because I feel like that kind of reduces it. But she's just saying more with the visuals. And the visuals are better, which is crazy because she always has the best visuals. And The ones for Renaissance were incredible, very interesting. But you know what it is? This one felt like, I honestly felt like it was a movie. This felt like a drive-in movie. In the summertime, everybody rolled in and sat down in front of this large screen and watched this movie. It felt like a thriller. It felt like we all watched Sinners, and now we're watching the Cowboy Carter show. Um, and the visuals were incredible during that segment. I don't want to even give too much away about that because, you know, you're going to go see it, or maybe you've already seen it, or I don't know. But I was shocked. And so then when it started, when in the middle of the visuals for that interlude, when she's changing, when you think maybe it's going to be like a while before she comes back very soon. And you hear that America has a problem. And we already know from Renaissance, when she explained it to us, she says, America has a problem, and it's me. You know, with the media pretty much painting her to be the equivalent of cocaine. The song America Has a Problem samples cocaine, which was the song about cocaine being a problem in the United States. I can't remember the rapper's name right now. I'm doing all this off of memory. And so she was making an analogy between, and in a lot of ways, she was making an analogy of her being a problem, her influence, you know, the way they talk about her and her influence, and how pretty much they're trying to take her down because of how influential she is, and how not with the program she is, the program, you know, she is. And also I think the song makes some sort of an analogy between her love being like a drug. So she's kind of like, it's like she's the cocaine in the song. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, when that started, I thought, are we really about to get America Has a Problem? Like, it just seemed way too soon to get such a gem. But sure enough, we did. And the costumes I really liked. It was like newspaper, the costumes. Also, I don't say things like this usually, but her body was tea. Or is, I should say. That's not something that I normally say, so I just want you to know that I'm saying that for effect. That's how much her body was tea. But the costumes were like newspaper, and that was really interesting. It looked like almost the exact same number from Renaissance, which is fine. This is not a criticism. I loved it. It was perfect. It felt right on time. I don't know what else to say about it. It was incredible. It was very exciting to have that come in so early, and she looked incredible. Yeah, it was amazing. And then she did a few songs with that look. I know she did Diva. She did. Wait, let me look. She did. Spaghetti. Yes, she did Spaghetti. Which, that song to me sounds cinematic. You know, it's interesting because you get so many different layers with Beyonce. Like, you get the album when it first comes out, and just the appreciation of the music and how good it is, right? Then you get the live version of it, which is always different. And I always feel like the live version is better, which is saying a lot because the studio version is incredible. But when I heard Spaghetti, I felt like, and on the screen, the whole screen turned red, and it was like, whoa. It looked so, you know what? The show felt shocking, just in the visuals. This is in the same way that when I saw Sinners, I was like, jaw dropped at the choices, at the visuals, at the beauty of it all. That's what the show looked like. And I really liked that with Spaghetti, when it went all red and everything, and she's up there rapping. And she went in, as she does. And that's another thing, the mic, of course, is on. And you can say what you want to say about Beyonce, but she performs like people are now, there's this whole dialogue about, how much she's dancing and how much she's not dancing, and she doesn't owe us anything, and also she doesn't have to do the same type of show for the rest of her life. But the thing is, she's singing the entire show. I mean, the girl doesn't get a break. You know what I mean? She doesn't get a break. And she murdered it. Spaghetti, she definitely murdered. Formation, we got to get a Western style formation with the cowboy hat. I thought that was incredible. It was beautiful. It was also a little campy. This show was a little campy, which I appreciate. Because there's so much strong messaging that some of the campiness kind of, lets you breathe a little bit. Um, so yeah, she did Formation. She did My House, which, I'm gonna go ahead and say this here because this is the place to say it because I've had some time to think about this. But I have a theory about My House. I believe My House is about Diplo because we all know that Diplo, when Beyonce won Best Dance Album at the Grammys for Renaissance, went on to publicly say all these things about Beyonce and how she's not Real House music, even though he's collaborated with her multiple times. He even shared posts about other people criticizing Beyonce, liked posts or something. He did a lot of stuff, which I was sort of shocked. I was like, dude, what is going on? But I feel like My House, what she's saying, you don't like my house, meaning my music, you don't like my house music, then get the about my house. And she's saying to Diplo, get out of my family, get out of my crew, get out of my house. I grew up in this house, I made love in this house. Anyway, so I felt like that song was to Diplo. So every time I hear that song, I go, thanks Diplo. She did My House, which everyone loves, she did Diva. I'm sure. Thank you, Blue Ivy. I don't even know if she was responsible this time. I love Diva, of course. And then the gag of all gags, she does the "She ain't no diva." I think one of our favorite things about Beyonce is knowing that she is watching the internet and she knows everything that's going on, and so she'll reference memes and things that go viral about her, TikToks, all sorts of things, and that's really fun. So when she did the "She ain't no diva," pointing directly into the audience, and the camera goes from her and looks in the audience like whoever she's pointing at, I thought, wow, that was really fun. That was so much fun. I really like that. She also giving herself a moment because someone's gonna do something with that, some TikToker or something. She's so fun. I like this version of Beyonce. This is another thing that's worth talking about. We've gotten so many different versions of Beyonce, and they're all great for whatever they're great for, right? Like you think about Formation Beyonce, which I think was giving us more King B energy, and that was intense. I mean, did she crack a smile during those shows? I don't know, but that's not what we were going for that show. We were going for, she was so precise. She was so, the energy was up. She didn't talk as much to the audience. It did feel a little, not cold isn't the word, but hard. It felt like a little hard. Because she was just murdering it. Even a number like Baby Boy during Formation was just so much. It was so intense that you were just like, dang, are you okay? Whenever I used to see Beyonce before, I used to ask that all the time. It would be my first question. I'd be like, is she okay? Because this is intense. And this new Beyonce, she talks more during the show. During this show, I don't know how many times she said, I love you, thank you, to the crowd and everything. And so it feels like we're more, not in dialogue with her, because, she's Beyonce, but it feels more like, interactive. And so I loved that. I loved that that formation or that diva bit. That was really, really good. I'm kind of skipping through. You know, there's so much to talk about with the tour, and so I want to talk about things going through, but I'm going by memory again. I just saw the whole thing. Um, so, you know, there's just a lot to remember, but I loved that diva moment. Um, oh, and I loved that section that she had after that. The section that followed was like more of the, I don't want to call them ballads, but the tempo dropped, right? We got Alligator Tears, Protector. I'll be a protector. Mm-hmm. And even though one day. Oh, before we do that, actually, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. This is so disrespectful. Her manager, Blue Ivy, made an appearance as to be expected because at this point, a Beyonce show is just like summer camp for Blue Ivy training. Like they're like, you know, I went to summer camp and I learned how to. She's like, well, I'm learning how to be a pop star in my summer camp with my mother, and I go on tour with her, and I go on stage in front of 50,000 people. She came out during America Has a Problem and did the dance break. And I'll tell you this right now, Blue has been rehearsing. Blue said, I got some time. Because Girlfriend went out there. She was fierce. And she had attitude. And I love that for her. I love that she gets to develop herself in this way. It's just going to make her very strong and resilient. And the experience is priceless. I mean, before she's 18, she's going to have been on stadiums. I mean, she's done stadiums. She's not even 18. You know what I mean? So that's pretty incredible. So I love that. But I wanted to jump back there because what I was going to say was during Protector, Rumi appeared, and it was delightful to see her because we don't often see her. I don't think we've ever seen her on stage. And she was adorable. Like, she really like melted our heart. And this is another thing that I love about Beyonce is I think part of it is that she's a mother, and it also might just be who she is, but she shows so much of her heart. And her love for her children is so heartwarming, given like what the media landscape can look like a lot of the times. You know, people trying to be cool, people trying to be attractive, people, all this, you know, especially nowadays, all this talk about this, talk about that, and rights, and DEI, and Target, and whatever that person's name is, who I'm not going to say. And then Beyonce talks about how much she loves her daughter, and how much she's going to protect her, brings her on stage. And her daughter's a kid. She is like, looked like she was so shocked to be up there. Like, she was just so like, and it was the most adorable thing. And after the song, she turned around. I don't think the song was even fully complete. She hugged Beyonce, and Beyonce just stopped singing. And it was cute. It was adorable. I love this version of Beyonce too, because we all know Beyonce's a professional. This is one of the best things about not having anything to prove. Okay, when you don't have anything to prove, you can show more of your heart. You end up showing more of your heart, and like, you know, Beyonce not finishing that last part because her daughter hugged her. That was adorable. That was beautiful. Like, that was so. You know what I mean? I really felt that in my heart. And then Blue was sitting there. Even in that little image, there was like that image of them sitting all together, and Blue was there. Blue's rehearsed. Blue means business. She's on the payroll now. So, whatever. Her cousins are probably backstage in the dressing room. During the time that she's not performing, she's probably hanging out with her cousins, getting changed, and then going, you know, I don't know, I'm making this up. But I really like that. And I love that she also showed much more footage of Sir as well, and the different clips and everything. And I really like that. And then she thanked all the children too. So yeah, she did Flamingo, she did Desert Eagle. Put on a show and make it nasty. I love that song. I couldn't wait to hear that live. Also, she looked incredible. And that look, I think in this one, at this point, she had changed into the blue, I believe. Beautiful. beautiful. We got Riverdance, Two Hands to Heaven. I think these are feel-good songs from the album. I think they're fan favorites. They're songs that feel good, you know. Two Hands to Heaven is like the song, which I'm heaven on earth, so I'm always like, to me, two hands to me. Two hands to heaven, my whiskey up high. Incredible. Incredible. Also, she had that little like installation on the side that had like sacred. Also, I'm sorry, I'm skipping something. In the first section, the robot arms are back. First of all, the robot arms are back. And they poured her whiskey. And they did it perfectly. I mean, Beyonce has her own technology at this point. Beyonce has her own universe. You know, there's like the Marvel universe, there's DC, whatever, and then there's Beyonce. And in the Beyonce universe, you get some of the same characters. Some of the dancers are back. Like a lot of the dancers, almost all, like a lot of the ones that you really, really remember are back on tour. And it's like all these familiar faces. It feels like family. It feels like a reunion, a family reunion. It feels like love, you know. And man, that's so great. And I think people need that because I think people need that. And so I'm grateful that she gave that. She did Sweet Honey She did Sweet Honey Buckin'. I love that song. Number one. I don't even know what to say about it. She started off, and at the start it was beautiful from the get-go, right? It was beautiful, beautiful. But then when she gets to honey, she mixes honey with honey from Renaissance. That was a gag of the century. I did not, I repeat, did not see that coming. And it was perfect. Beyonce is the remix legend. She will mash up her own songs like you've never seen it done before. Like, I feel like she's got a team of mixologists, remixologists, and their only job is to like, you know, she gives them the theme, she tells them here's the new music, here's what I'm going for, come up with concepts now. And that was amazing. I loved that. I loved that a lot, actually. Yeah, and then of course she went into Buckin', which everybody loved, you know, and she did the Buckin', like a mechanical bull. She did the whole thing, which was really cute. We already know that went viral from Beyonce Bowl. Also, there's one other thing I forgot to mention, actually. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm trying to stay, like, in order. When Beyonce did was it After America Has a Problem? I don't remember. She also did Why Don't You Love Me? I forgot to mention that. She did Why Don't You Love Me? Yeah, into Why Don't You Love Me? But anyway, somewhere in there, After America Has a Problem, she laid on like what do you call it? There was like a radar. And she laid right in the center. And it was, again, it was like she was saying she's a target. She's being targeted. At least that's what I got from it. And I love Beyonce because she has this way of saying things without saying them. And that's a real talent. Anyway, I forgot why I even remembered that, but then she went into Jolene. She did Jolene, which, you know, there was a lot of controversy about Beyonce's version of Jolene because, whatever. I really like Beyonce's version of Jolene. I like it a lot. It feels warm. It feels like you can feel the wind blowing through your hair. The boom, 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 boom. It gives you this feeling of like being somewhere, like in the moment, you know, like outside in the world. It feels very alive, the song, in a way. And I really, really loved it. And I love her voice on it. She sounded amazing. Everything was amazing. What else? She did Daddy Lessons, which is what started all of this. If that award show had only just respected Beyonce, but you know what? It's great. Sometimes when things don't go the way that you'd like them to go, they're just setting you up for future success. It's just like lemonade, right? Life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Life gives you the CMAs, you make Cowboy Carter. You know what I mean? This is just what it is, you know? Yeah, she did Bodyguard. Um, is there anything about Bodyguard that I remember? Um, I don't know, but one thing I do remember, I'm kind of skipping around. Again, this is just my first watch at this whole thing. During one of the interludes, which were amazing, one of the interludes, there was a, what do you call it? A showdown? A duel? A duel between her and this character. And, you know, they turn around, you know, they facing each other, they turn around, they walk apart, turn back around, and then, right? And the one pulls out an automatic rifle and is firing at her. And I remember it, and at first they just show him firing, and you're thinking, well, that's clearly not, we're not going to do this, because Beyonce is not doing this. And then sure enough, she shows you footage of her getting lit up, except it does absolutely nothing to her. She's just like, she's bulletproof. And I was like, whoa. And then I thought, how is she going to handle him? She took him out. And it was Matrix quality, like the bullet went like, like it was like incredible. She, a lot of smoking in this one, which makes sense, you know, the country theme, country/western. It's interesting that those two are like together, like the South and the West. Anyway, but that's how the United States works for whatever the reason. I'm sure someone can break it down, and I don't care. But I thought that was really, I was shocked. Again, there were so many things I was just shocked about. Like, I was like, I didn't expect her to do that. But I really like that. She did, oh, right. It was around this time in the show that giant horseshoe came flying in. And when it came flying in, I was like, what? Like, it was glowing. I was like, that's cool. I was like, set pieces are flying in, like, and it was just so colorful. It was like a screen. It wasn't just like a static piece of thing. It had like LED, you know, it could change color, it could show things on the horseshoe, excuse me. And she got on it. And then it carried her into the house. So, you know, she's a queen of flying over the crowd. You know, she does that a lot. I mean, so does Pink. Pink does it in a very different way. But, you know, she's always done that for years. Always in different ways. Like the last one was on Renee, the horse. But that was just a shock. Like, I didn't see it coming at all. I'm skipping a bunch of things. She did Thick. Am I doing this in order? Am I mixing something? Yeah. She did Thick, which I was shocked to do Thick. And I always still think of the time when she was doing, during Renaissance, when she was doing like the closing, you know, thank yous and everything. She's still flying. And she's reading the signs, and she goes, "Justice for Thick." And then a couple of shows later, at the same point in the show, the credits, if you will, she's like, "Okay, you guys got your justice for Thick." I just love that. This new Beyonce, hears that you want something and goes, "Ugh, I guess I can do it." Makes a change in the middle of the tour, right? Old Beyonce would not have been doing that. She wouldn't have been reading your sign in the first place. You know, the new Beyonce, you know, she's more present. She's just a different version of herself, nothing to prove, more engaged. You know, I loved that. Yeah, she did Thick. She also did a mashup of, what was it? Was it Thick with Bills? In front of the little sacred, like, section, there were like the chairs, like the hair, like the salon chairs, and they did the dum, da-da-dum, dum, dum. It didn't end up going into the full song, but I was shocked. And it's funny because I don't know who it was. Oh, I wish I could remember who it was. Someone on the internet had said that, a really good marketing plan for Beyonce for Sacred would be to do a Bills, 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 like recreated thing with like all of Destiny's Child. And they're not wrong. But I really like that she did that. Um, she did Levi's jeans. Beautiful. I love the look that she was wearing for all this. The fits were fitting. Her body snatched. She looked incredible. I mean, each look looked, it really showed her like shape in a way. You're just like, and she managed to have all these businesses, be a mother. She's got Sacred going on. She's got Sir Davis going on. She just put together a world tour. She has another album that's about to come out. She's got all the Levi's jeans ad campaign. She's got all this stuff going on. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's a daughter. She's a sister. She's got all this stuff going on. And then she still manages to have a body like that. And you're like, wow, God loves you. She did Daughter. I love Daughter. That's just number one. Number two, was it Daughter the one that she did it with the LED dress? I was kind of shocked at that. Beyonce is like kind of flexing at this point. People talk a lot about the price point of her tickets, but what they don't talk about is what you get. Like, somebody got to pay for all this. It's not like she's just like got ridiculously priced tickets and does nothing on stage. She does the most. All the technology, all the innovation, everything. It's like really, it's incredible. It's incredible. I loved that. Also, the gag of the century. When I say I was gagged, because at this point in the show, I didn't know how much time had passed, but I was realizing that we were kind of like covering all the songs. Like I was like, wait. At one point I was like, how many songs are left? I feel like we hit a lot of these songs already for this album. So I just didn't know what was next. And when that interlude started, and it was the same one from Renaissance, the music, the visuals were different because it was like her on top of the crocodile, and instead of turning silver like it did for Renaissance, it turned gold. But that's the era that we're in. She's the themes. She's theming, and we're theming with her, which I love. That's one thing I love about this era of Beyonce is there's these very clear themes, and so it's you're in this universe where you don't always understand all the rules of the universe, but you do to some degree, and so it feels like, oh, okay, yeah, because we're in the gold era now, and we're in the whatever. And when I heard the voice again, and then they showed her, and she was in the robot thing. I said, hold up, hold up. I was like, is she really about to do I'm That Girl, Renaissance style? I figured she was going to do a couple more songs from Renaissance. How could you not? It's the album of the century. But I didn't expect her to go straight. I was like, oh my gosh. And I feel like the crowd was gagged. I was watching the live stream and they were like, shut up. Like they had left the comments on accidentally. So you're seeing everybody comment and they're like, no way. No, there's no way she's about to do this. And then she did it. And then you know what it did? It made me realize that we weren't ready for Renaissance to be over. I didn't even realize I felt that way. Renaissance felt so exciting. That music was exciting and fun, and then it was also like her first tour post, 2020, all that stuff. And so it was just like, I didn't realize how much we didn't want it to end. Do you know what I mean? And so when it came back on, it was so exciting. It was just exciting. It was beautiful. It was exciting. I absolutely loved it. And then I didn't realize that we were getting the big three. Because I remember, I was shocked when she went to the choreography. you know, when she started doing the, I was like, oh no, she's really doing it. Like she's doing it for real. And a lot of the same dancers were there. It felt like this continuation. It felt like, oh my, and then, you know, someone screamed. I think the person who was doing the live stream, they were like, the Renaissance continues, and I was like, it does. It does. It does. And then, you know, at the end, she's walking away towards the camera, and the camera's, you know, facing the house and everything. And I was like, she's not going to do it. She's not going to do it. She's not going to. Sure enough, this a reminder. I was like, the robot arms were there with gold frames. She did it was the same show, girl. It was like slightly shortened. You know, each song was just like shortened a little bit, but it felt so rewarding being able to get some of your favorite parts, the big three, you know, because then she went into Alien Superstar. That was another thing. When after she finished Cozy, I could hear the crowd was like, no way, no way. And then you see the person like walk on with the with the bed thing. Oh gosh. And the person doing the live stream, they did the thing. Remember the video that went viral of the person watching Renaissance, and they're like, go to sleep. The person who was doing the live stream that I saw, they yelled that at Beyonce. They were like, go to sleep, go to sleep. But sure enough, that felt so good. First of all, I don't say gagged. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just telling you, that's not something I usually say. It's just not. But I was gagged. I couldn't believe it. I was like, she's doing this? Like, and also that late in the show. To that late in the show, just be like, okay, now I'm doing this other show. It was also interesting because we all, at this point, now know that Cowboy Carter was initially set to be the first release, and then Renaissance the second, which I think would have been good. I mean, it doesn't matter what she does. It's good. But I do think that setup would have been good because Cowboy Carter felt very like tearing things apart. You know, I mean, those old ideas that are buried here, like kind of American Requiem was like a funeral song, if you will. And then Renaissance is literally like a rebirth. Literally, yeah. But anyway, so it felt well placed in the show, like in general, just like, yeah, we're ready to be reborn now. But anyway, she did the big three, and that was incredible. There was also at some point line dancing in the show. Girl, I don't know. It was just incredible. She did Texas Hold'em on this like 18-wheeler truck thing, which, you know, was on theme. Wow. I'm sorry, there's just so much. It was just incredible. She did Crazy in Love up there. She did a different version of Crazy in Love, which I liked. She did, and as she finished Crazy in Love, it was like she was going to go into Freedom Dress, which I feel like everybody has been wanting her to do Freedom Dress for like the longest time. And then you hear that bring, bring, bring music, and I was like, is she really about to do Freedom Dress? Because I love that song. And I would really like to hear what this Beyonce sounds like singing Freedom Dress. And then she did not, and then just moved on. And I think she said something to the effect of like, you know, I gotta play with you guys sometime. She really plays with us. She toys with our feelings. And it tickles her. You know, one of my favorite things that fans say about Beyonce, humorously, is when they're like, she's sick. Because she does something like kind of wild or whatever, and they're like, she's so sick. She's disturbed. I love when they do that because it's hilarious. She did Heated, which it's impossible to say that you have a favorite song from Renaissance. I mean, you can say whatever you want. It's really impossible for me to say, but I will say Heated is so special to me, so special. Anyway, she did Heated, and she did the, you know, the end little like face card never decline. My God. But the crowd did most of it, which is perfect because, you know, we love when the crowd chants for Beyonce. She did Before I Let Go again, which is perfect. They did the electric slide. Blue was heavily featured in the show. She was like, she's like Ashley Everett now. There used to be Ashley Everett, now there's Blue Ivy. Um, and then we got that video montage of like Beyonce's career. And we all know this. We all know that Beyonce has been doing this for over 20 years. We know not only has she been doing this for over 20 years, but she's done so much in that time. This is her 8th solo album. There were like, how many Destiny Child albums? Like 3 or 4, something, probably 5. There was a Christmas album in there somewhere. This is her like 10th tour. Solo, I think. Or no, maybe it's 10th altogether. I don't know. I really don't remember at this point. The point is, she's been working. It went through, I flashed through all these like images of her over the years, and it was like, wow. It really helped you see how much she's given us over the years. And then it went into 16 Carriages, and you know, one of my favorite lines from 16 Carriages is, only God knows, only God knows, only God knows. Because really, only Beyonce and God know how much she's done, how much work she's done, how much energy she's put into all of this. We're reaping the benefits, and I think many of us are grateful. But we don't, the truth is we don't know. We don't know all the sacrifices she made. We don't know, you know, there's so much stuff going on in her life. Her mother recently revealed that she had cancer, that her mother had cancer and was living in Beyonce's house while she was recovering. I mean, all this stuff's going on while she's being this incredible artist. And it just makes you very grateful. It really does. There's really no getting around it. I am grateful. Thank you, Beyonce. Thank you, Beyonce. Also, thank you to Beyonce's family. You know, because all this has affected you in a bunch of ways, and thank you. I really respect her as a human being and as an artist, and she's just so generous. She does not have to do any of this. I remember during Life is But a Dream, she was like talking about how she was thinking about retiring. This was before Self-Titled. You know what she's done since Self-Titled? I mean, there was Self-Titled. World Stop. Carry on. She did Self-Titled. She did Lemonade. She did, what did she do after Lemonade? It's hard to remember the order of everything. She did the album with Jay-Z. She had the twins. She did Coachella. She did On the Run. She did Black is King. She did Renaissance. Cowboy Carter. Like, she's done so much since then. Anyway, thank you, Beyonce. And Beyonce closed the show with Amen. And all I gotta say to that is Amen. She sounded incredible. It was beautiful. It felt like a prayer. I mean, oh, it was, yeah. And I feel like more than ever, you know, it's funny because there's all this like smear campaigning and bashing of Beyonce and the media, and you know, so, talking about she's not selling tickets and there's cheap tickets, and you know, girl, shut up. First of all, this show's gonna, it was already 94% sold out like a month ago, which, can we check the tickets for everybody else's stores? Like, are they 94% sold out? Like, what's going on? But after this, there's not going to be a ticket left to be found. Okay? Because this show was incredible. I was shocked during the show. I really liked the pace. The pace was incredible. I felt like, wow. Like, it just kept going. The visuals were incredible. It really had that drive-in movie feel. It also felt like family, like I said, with all the recurring characters. There was a point where there was like a little runway, and the dancers were going and doing their thing like they did during Renaissance, which again, it was just so rewarding to see it that way. Also, now everybody has red hair instead of having platinum hair. Um, I don't know. It was so beautiful. And one last thing, Beyonce mentioned at the end that no one had gotten any sleep, that they had been working up until the start of the show. And it made me think this performance that she gave was a performance with no rest. So I feel like by the time she leaves LA, because she's got a couple more shows there, I think we're going to get a different show in the sense that she'll have gotten sleep. She will be rested up. And the show was amazing. Oh, the singing she does. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you to Beyonce. And I'll probably do something more detailed later. I don't know. I literally, like I said, hopped up, couldn't wait to make this video because I just wanted to talk about Beyonce. But anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you to Beyonce. Go stream Cowboy Carter. Go stream Renaissance. Go get your tickets. Go watch Sinners. Yeah. Thank you, Beyonce.